I trained back pretty fucking hard today, back and biceps. Last week, I think we did this session last week, it was already filmed, so I can just build off of that. I did close grip pull-ups, bent over rows, straight arm push downs, and actually I don't know if I filmed this one. Anyways, last week, first exercise, I did the 3 sets of 8 to 12 body weight, just straight sets on pull-ups. I'm going to continue on and try to fill that out till I get to like 3 sets of 15 under like RP 7. So even if I hit, really good control 3 sets of 15, I'm gonna probably take another week or two and just keep focusing on my control. And the main reason is because, we've talked about this before, how much you can get, how much you can milk out of a certain weight, but especially because I am, in the current bulking phase that I'm on, I am putting on weight week to week. So I really want to make sure that with stuff like body weight stuff, it's truly earned, and I'm not moving up until I really earn that. So last week I just jumped in, I did 3 straight sets. This week I'm gonna do a warm-up set with a reverse band. I'm gonna do my 3 straight sets and try to beat my reps from last week. I think I did like 12-8-7 last week, or 11-8-7, something like that. So we're gonna try to expand on that. And then if I'm feeling up to it like I have been with everything else since I started taking the insulin, I'll probably add in a 4th or 5th working set. It might be done with a reverse band, might be done straight. But we'll determine that when we get there. So I'll go ahead and get started. I'm gonna turn the music back up. So definitely felt very heavy from last week. I've already put on about 12 pounds in the last week, so that's something. I hit 10 reps there from what I counted. Might have been 9, we'll call it 10. And if I can match 10 the next 2 sets, that'll be a lot more valuable than what I did last week. So there's certain ways that you can break things up and make sure that you're progressing. Even if like your first set, you don't hit as many reps as the previous week, you can still ensure that you progress. And if we have more quality reps done under more fatigue, total reps, if I get 30 total reps as opposed to 11, 9, 20, 27 reps, and they're later on in the session, those are very valuable reps. Oh yeah, that's what Daddy likes. So I hit 10.86 there. I'm a little disappointed with that, to be honest. I was expecting myself to match my reps at a heavier body weight, but it's a little bit of a big expectation. I am 12 to 15 pounds heavier than last week when I started this, and so I'm just going to take that as my starting point. I'm going to hit 2 reverse band sets here to failure, and next week I'll do the same thing that I did today. I think my weight will level out a little bit, so I probably won't go much heavier than this. So I'll just try to beat what I did today at the same body weight next week, and I'll do a little bit better job of tracking that. I've kind of been this initial phase has been just eating as much food as I can handle, as much food as I want. So weight shot up pretty fast. Definitely gonna regulate that a bit more, especially for body weight sessions like this. So I'm gonna hit my reverse band sessions, and then we'll move on to bent over rows. Oh God. All right.
Planning a trip? Reserve your Uber ride to the airport in advance, like 90 days in advance. So some planners who have already packed, got dinner reservations at your destination, and even scoped out where to grab a pre-flight coffee past security at Philly Airport. Now you have a plan for getting down I-90.
Couple things on those pull-ups. One, I'm not gonna let my expectations get me down. Just change the plan and find one variable to progress, right? Second, setup is very important for bodybuilding, and really any hypertrophy thing that you want to push till failure. Because of the height of this, because of where the band sits with the handles, it didn't feel that I could push the quality past a certain point. It felt like I was restricted a little bit by the setup and could have gotten more quality for the same amount, if not a little bit more reps, if I had maybe a machine or a taller setup or a lat pull down or something. So I'm gonna run this for one more week. If I really like it next week, I'll keep running it, but the way I'm feeling right now, I'll run this for one more week, beat today by just a little bit, and then we'll probably switch my vertical row to maybe a wide grip pull down or maybe pull-ups here with a wider grip. I don't know, but it'll change. We'll change the vertical row variation up just a little bit. Now we're gonna go on to bent over rows, specifically the way that my coach Zach McCarley teaches them, which has a lot. It's set up to have a lot of carryover into your deadlift and into your strongman movements. It's going to look like kind of like a cheater partial range of motion, but once I get a few sets in, I'll start explaining the technique points and why it has so much carryover to things like the deadlift and the clean and press, and really anything that we do. So give me a second, I'm going to fuel up and get ready to train bent over rows. All right, first thing I want to talk about is what actually causes carryover. And you know, when I say this movement has a lot of carryover into strongman, why and what do I mean by that? So the two main things that cause carryover are the direction and manner at which you apply force into the ground through your feet, and similarity of the movement. That's it. So when you're designing a program and selecting your movements, you want to cross those two things off, make sure those are as similar as possible, and then everything else that dictates your variation should really be comfort and preference, because you're going to be able to push harder and or heavier and or longer, safely, safer, more enjoyable. And when those two things are in play, you can, you know, push harder and heavier training sessions for more weeks in a row. That's really what's gonna, you know, maximize your progress is how can I stay in the game and train hard as fuck for longer without getting closer to a breaking point. That's very important. So outside of the two specificity boxes to check off the list, everything else is comfort and preference. Now, why does this specific movement, the way that Zach has taught me, why does this carry over so well into strongman? Everything that we do in strongman is picking something up off the ground. We either clean and press it, we carry it, we load it, or we just deadlift it to the hips, right? There's some exceptions, like, you know, holds and Viking presses and stuff like that, but even still, everything comes from the hips. And you'll notice when I do these, well, it's not only hips, but it's the shoulders and the T-spine flexion, right? When we lock our pelvis into place, we lock our low abs into place, and then we pull our upper back against that like it's a crowbar, right? And the more that we can generate, the more we can go this way while holding this position, the stronger we'll be. So with these, we've got our stance. It's very similar to stone lifting. It's a little bit wider than deadlifting, but it's a very nice athletic hybrid stance that pretty much carries over into anything. Now, we've talked about this in our previous sessions, in the deadlifting and the axle bar session, and in the stones, where we pull things into our hip, right? So everything that we're doing, we're really trying to pull it high into our hip crease, and make contact with it on the top of the hips there. So that's the first thing that I'm doing here, is I'm just working in this range of motion of pulling it up into the hips. So eventually, I'm starting really light here because I want to build this up heavy as fuck. But like this should be, you know, for an 800-pound deadlifter, this should be a 4 or 5 plate movement when we spend a few weeks building up to it. So, you know, you can see how just being able to, even though it's a short range of motion, being able to tolerate 400 or 500 pounds in this position and flexing your T-spine against it is going going to be really helpful for pulling weight off the ground, pulling stones, cleaning something, everything. It's getting that little bit of flexion and extension under that load without worrying about hurting yourself is really what we're trying to do. And that movement of pulling it into the hips, like we're going to pop it into a clean or finishing a deadlift or a stone, that's kind of what we're trying to isolate here. So it might look like a very short range of motion and it's not doing much, but we're really trying to simulate a lot of different movements in strongman, specifically with the hips. So it's more of an isolated mechanic rather than an isolated muscle group. Now, even though it doesn't look like it, I am getting a very full range of motion through the lats in this direction, right? So the lats, we want to be able to pull here, and then pull this way, right? So I'm getting a very full range of motion when it comes to bringing my lower and upper, or lower and mid traps together through pulling the lats to me, right? So that, again, that component right there is how you lock your deadlift in, how you lock your cleans in from the upper body. So you can see, just like the front squat, this movement has pretty much carryover in anything that we're gonna do in the sport. So I'm gonna grab, just like pretty much my deadlift grip, maybe a little bit wider, but I'm gonna measure with my thumbs from the center knurling where it starts to be smooth. I'm gonna extend my thumb out and measure from there, take my straps, and then when I pick it, I'm going to slide it up into the hips. And I'm gonna start from this position of, you know, if I wanted to pop it, I could, up into a clean, right? So right here, and then shoulders are back. I'm just gonna hinge slightly till it's just above the knees. And I'm just pulling from there. Finish with it in the hips, like that. Now hopefully you can see why it's important to push this one very heavy based on that range of motion. It's very safe, right? If I come out in front of my knees, or if I start really bouncing it, you know, that can fuck you up pretty bad. I've slipped a disc doing this before, and it's no fun. So keep it above the knees, keep your shoulders and chest locked in and externally rotated, and just try to increase our tolerance in that position. We'll be doing plenty of one-arm rows and, you know, deep T-bar rows and stuff like that. So when we do this movement specifically, you know, treat it as a compound movement where we're getting as full range of motion as we can, but we're also trying to protect those ranges of motion so that we can add more weight to the bar. So one thing I don't want to see on this, and I hate seeing it here and I hate seeing it in the bedroom, and that's lazy head. So I'm sure you can all guess what that looks and feels like in the bedroom, but here in the barbell and any back movement, what I mean by lazy head is you pull, and to finish your range of motion, you kind of sneak your head and chest through to like meet yourself to the bar, right? That's lazy head, right? If you're doing a pull down and you get to the end and you kind of round and you force your chin up to the bar, or you're pulling a lat row and you get to about here and you just kind of like that. It's called lazy head. We don't want that. You can actually really hurt yourself by doing that in this movement, and it really defeats the purpose if you get out of that position. So if I'm pulling here, and I'm really trying to increase my tolerance of
this good, solid, locked in shoulders back position. So I'm not going to let my shoulders round through that much. And on the way up, I'm certainly not gonna like finish like that. They need to stay here and just pull in this position. You can see my back muscles and how they're working. Okay? We're not doing that. Doing that. Last point, I'm gonna work up to like an 8 to 10 rep max with ascending sets of 8 to 10. We'll see where I get, and then, yeah. Let's go, motherfucker. All right, guys, I've got straight arm push downs left, bicep curls, and some rotator cuff stuff. I don't have too much to say on those, so I'm just going to film and get to work.